The San Antonio Spurs are already planning ahead with a potential new arena just in time for possibly a supermax contract for the super prospect that is Victor Wembanyama. Guys, this is a really smart thing that the Spurs are doing. I'm going to break this entire situation down because you might be saying, what's the point of planning for a new arena if Wembanyama hasn't even played a second of NBA basketball? Well, I'm going to break it all down. You can see the big updates. New Spurs arena may be coming sooner than expected. Rumor has it the Spurs are exploring a new downtown arena. Of course, they will encounter some pushback. Now, let's first begin with their current home, AT&T Center. Is the AT&T Center, the worst arena in the NBA? No. But at this point, it was built in 2000. It opened in 2001. It is getting aged. And in 3 or 4 years, it's really not going to get any better. So I believe the Spurs are saying right now, instead of doing what every other team does and waits for their arena to become one of the worst in the NBA before even planning a new arena, because another thing you have to remember, you can plan an arena and bring out renderings right now, but the earliest you're going to have this thing open, like if the Spurs had a plan today, the earliest they would have this thing open is like 2026, based on all the time it takes to build, get everything passed, get the funding. It's a longer process. So the Spurs are trying to be proactive. They realize they have a super prospect. They also realize San Antonio, not the best destination for free agents, and our arena is getting older and it's getting worse. No, technically it's not the worst right now, but it's just going to keep getting, more and more aged. Let's be proactive. And when our young super prospect, if he progresses like we expect him to, let's give him a reason with a new arena. Possibly, it becomes more attractive if it's in a better location downtown to free agents. This is a really good idea by the Spurs. I'm sure there will be major pushback, especially with the current environment we have around arenas and stadiums, likely costing, NBA arenas are like $1 billion to $1.5 billion. MLB ballparks are like 1.5 to 2 billion, and then NFL stadiums, the super stadiums can go up to, 2 or 3 billion. There's a lot of pushback from the general public because they're starting to realize, listen, these billionaires, owners should be privately funding the entire stadium, because when you get a better stadium for your franchise, it inevitably will make the franchise more attractive. So I do think they are going to run into some issues when it comes to the funding of this stadium, especially if they want to do a 50-50 public-private split. The public is going to be like, this isn't even one of the worst arenas in the NBA right now. Why would we pay for a new $1.5 billion super arena? And by the way, I just want to say, every rendering that I show, it's not going to be the rendering for the Spurs. I just like showing things to reference. There's just a few different arenas, maybe what it could look like. And then, yes, the big design that I think could happen, although I did read somewhere, apparently that Las Vegas sphere that everyone keeps talking about, apparently that cost $3.5 billion. Because I was wondering, would an NBA team try and build a sphere like circle 3D arena? I think that'd be awesome, but if it costs $3.5 billion, there's no way. There are some interesting renderings for like a New York City sphere. It would just be really cool and really futuristic, but if it costs that much, I don't see it happening. Another interesting thing I found in this article, I guess there were rumors that the Spurs might move to Austin, Texas, but obviously, that's not going to be happening. The Spurs are a really impressive franchise, and now they have a super prospect. So they're trying to get a new arena. They just built, or they're in the process of building, a massive multi-billion-dollar NBA complex, practice facilities, everything. There are renderings for that, and I do think this is a smart idea for them. It's going to take time, but you want to time it right to where by the time Wembanyama is a free agent or going into that last year, you at least have a plan and you can say, look, You're developing, we get it. We're going to give you the Supermax. We can offer you the most money. We've got a new arena coming. We're going to have the best arena in the NBA. We're going to a better location. It's going to help attract better free agents. And it does make complete sense in my opinion. And then we also have this. This is the thing that I was pondering, and it looks like it's happening. New Oklahoma City arena plan is coming this summer. So Paycom Center, which formerly was known as Chesapeake Arena, they're looking like they want to upgrade it, and it makes complete sense. The history on Paycom Center was this wasn't even an arena built for the NBA. It was bare bones. They built it in the year 2000 before Oklahoma City even had an NBA team. Then we get the Supersonics moving into OKC, and they end up using this arena. It is not state-of-the-art. It is pretty bare bones. It doesn't have the standard suites that most NBA arenas have. So I'm guessing we're going to get renderings on a potential new OKC arena at some point, probably within the next coming weeks. If they're talking about it, the new renderings and the new plan is going to be released this summer. It's either going to be July or August. So that should be happening. They say, quote, "We aren't in a long-term lease anymore, and there is a sense of urgency in talking about a new arena. This summer, we hope and expect to present a proposal to the people of Oklahoma City. It is definitely the issue of 2023. So it looks like that is coming, and I would expect that to come. The Paycom Center is 21 years old, so it's kind of in a similar position that the AT&T Center is. But in terms of this arena, again, it really wasn't, it was more like a multi-purpose thing, and if they got an NBA team, they could kind of make some upgrades and do it, but that is that situation. And then an update on the New Orleans Pelicans. Well, this is from a month ago, but I guess I'm a little late to this news. New Orleans Pelicans arena renovations on hold till the Caesars Superdome renovations are completed. And yes, they are investing a ton of money into the Superdome and renovating it. They're putting in brand new luxury spaces. The Superdome, of course, home of the Saints. The Superdome will be hosting the Super Bowl as well. But this is a developing story with the Pelicans. I've said they need a new arena. Renovations, like if you're trying to renovate, the Smoothie King Center, you would need God to renovate that. I mean, you would have to completely tear it down and rebuild it. Is that what you mean by renovation? The thing is a concrete blob, and it was built wrong. It has too small of a lower bowl. It's not up to NBA standards. So we'll have to see what the Pelicans end up doing. But the city of New Orleans is already investing a ton of money into the Superdome. That'll be an interesting scenario to watch. And then, yes, apparently that did cost the MSG Sphere $3.6 billion in Las Vegas, and it doesn't even seat 18,000 people. Well, it's not for the NBA, but, it's more like an event thing, concerts, stuff like that, but that's a lot of money for that. And then we do have Who's Got Next planned Las Vegas Arena, possibly $10 billion NBA campus project that's going to be totally privately funded. That is for the idea of Las Vegas getting an expansion team, with which everybody expects is going to happen. I mean, Adam Silver coming out a few days ago saying, listen, we're in talks with Seattle. There's a lot of other options. You look at all the odds in Vegas. They list who's going to get an expansion team. It's Seattle, and it's Vegas, and it's everyone else. Those by far are the two most likely scenarios. The only question is, will Las Vegas actually build their own massive NBA campus that includes a movie theater, that includes, a lot of different hotels, restaurants, $10 billion, maybe a retractable roof arena, which would be a first for the NBA. And this group, they're called Oak View Group. They want to privately fund the full $10 billion, which is crazy. And if you privately fund a $10 billion project, that works. That's the whole idea. People want everything to be privately financed. If you're a billionaire, if you own a sports team and you can't afford it, you need to get one of your buddies to buy some of the team to afford a new arena, because the public is just pissed off. They're not going to pay for these things, especially if it just comes at the benefit of the owners, because the arena is going to make the franchise more valuable. So guys, that is the situation right now. The Spurs planning ahead possibly planning for, when Victor Wembanyama becomes a free agent in around 4 or 5 years, they're going to have a plan for a new arena, possibly already being built in a better area that's going to attract more free agents, that's going to make their franchise more attractive as a whole. It is a smart strategy because it does take a while for everything to happen for the building process. You're looking at a minimum of 3 or 4 years. It makes sense for them to plan it and possibly bring out renderings by next year and maybe even break ground the year after. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.